What's up? My name is Mike. Today I want to talk about a book called The Alchemist. It's a book by Paulo Coelho, and I actually read it recently because I had a friend who mentioned it, and she had been talking about how great it was. And I had seen the name pop up 100 times before, and so I was like, let me just give this book a shot. Let me see what this thing's all about. And I pretty much just went in with no prior knowledge and no expectation. So what I'm giving you here is literally my unfiltered thoughts because I had no idea what this book was going to be about. And to summarize it really quick, I think what I got out of it and kind of what I would say the book is really about is finding your ultimate purpose in life. And it's about learning how to enjoy the moment that you're in fully and observe the wonders of the world around you. I think if you could really boil it down to any one thing, it would just be that. There's a lot of lessons throughout the book. And I'm gonna kind of go through some of my notes, but at the very beginning, the book kind of follows this shepherd, and the shepherd has this draw. He keeps dreaming about treasure buried in the pyramids of Egypt. Now, this guy, he's from Spain, so I'm no good at geography, but Spain and Egypt, they're not all that close to each other. And essentially, he kind of puts off this idea for a little bit because it's like, how am I even gonna get there? I don't even know where the pyramids are. I don't even know how to, you know what I mean? So there's all these barriers preventing him from fulfilling his ultimate purpose in life. So one of the trials that this kid goes through is that he's going to the king's palace, and the king gives him a spoon. Do I have a spoon on me? I don't have a spoon on me. Basically, the king gives him a spoon, and he fills the spoon with little drops of oil, and he says, if you can carry this spoon with drops of oil to the top of the stairs, and there's this huge winding staircase, right? If you can carry this to the top of the steps without dropping a single drop of oil, then I'll tell you what you want to know. So the kid, he walks up the steps one by one, carrying the spoon, watching the oil so that he makes sure he doesn't spill any of it. He gets to the top, and the guy looks at him and goes, okay, now tell me about the beautiful grand banisters and the tapestries. Tell me about the different carpets. Tell me about all the things you saw on your path up here. And the guy was like, well, I've been staring at my spoon this whole time, so I don't know anything about that. And the guy goes, okay, go back to the bottom of the stair steps. And at this point, I'd just be like, bro, I'm done. You want me to climb those steps 2 times? Nah, bro, it's not worth it. But I mean, the kid goes for it. So he climbs the steps a second time. This time he carries the spoon, but he's looking around and he notices all these beautiful things around him in the palace that he never saw before. And he kind of gets lost in it, right? And when he reaches the top, the king's like, okay, you spilled all the oil. That was not part of the assignment. So the kid is just kind of, he's a little dumbfounded. He doesn't really know what to do. He did what he was told, right? But the king imparts with this lesson, and he says, the secret of happiness is to see all the marvels of the world and never forget the drops of oil in the spoon. So essentially the lesson is that you want to be able to go and travel along this path. You want to be able to pursue your destiny, but you can't get so consumed with what's inside of the spoon. You have to be able to stop and admire your surroundings. And so that's a prevailing theme throughout the book. As the shepherd continues onto his journey, he ends up in all these new places. And the first new place he ends up in, he gets robbed. He loses all of his money. And this is the first barrier, right? Where he's like, maybe I'll just give up here. Maybe I've done what I'm supposed to. This is a sign that it's time to give up. But he comes to this realization, and this wasn't a strange place, it was a new one. Right? So the shift of perspective. This is a brand new place, there's brand new customs, I need to adjust to it. And as he's looking around, he sees this guy making candy. The candy maker, he's not making a ton of money. The candy maker's just making candy so that he can give candy to people, because that's what he wants to do. And he comes to this realization. He says, the candy merchant isn't making candy so that later he can travel or marry a shopkeeper's daughter. He's doing it because that's what he wants to do. So I think one of the lessons in the book as well is that you may have these grand goals, grand dreams, grand desires, but what really matters is that you just do what it is that you want to do. And I think that this is really applicable to today's society where, especially due to social media, it's very easy at any given point in time to look at somebody else and see that they have a life that's twice as big as yours, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 10 times bigger than your life. And I think that we all have those fleeting thoughts of, oh man, I wish I had my own private jet like this YouTuber does, or that this TikToker does, or that this Instagram influencer does, right? We get very consumed by looking at other people and wishing that we had what they had. And one of the lessons in the book is to just, enjoy yourself, because there will always be something to enjoy in the present moment. And there are a lot of different lessons that are taught in the book. One other lesson that comes up a few times is that sharing your ideas, sharing your goals, and they're called personal legends. Basically, your personal legend is what you were born to do. So if you're pursuing your personal legend and you try to share that with somebody else, chances are they're not going to really understand that. And I think a lot of people interpret that as meaning you shouldn't share your personal legend with other people, but I actually kind of interpreted that as, know that if you share that with somebody else, that they're gonna have a differing perspective from you. So feel free to share it. Just understand that they're probably not gonna agree with you, and be open to hearing their perspective as well. Towards the end of the book, the shepherd finally reaches the pyramids and he starts digging for the treasure. And I believe like 2 men come up and start questioning him, like, why are you digging? And they think that he's like burying treasure or something like that. Start beating him, trying to get him to give up all his money. And eventually he's like, dude, I don't have any money, like I have nothing. He goes, I'm here digging for the ultimate treasure. And he tells them about the visions that he had when he was young, and they laugh at him and say, yeah, oh yeah, I once had a vision of going to Spain and digging under this random tree, and that I would find my personal treasure there. But just because I had this random dream, this random vision, doesn't mean I'm gonna travel halfway across the world to achieve that. And they left him alone. And this kid who had been digging with his bare hands out in the middle of the desert realized that the treasure that he had been seeking the entire time was really in his hometown in Spain. So he went all the way to Egypt to realize that the treasure was really back in Spain. So he goes back to Spain, digs up the treasure. It's actual treasure. I was expecting it to be like some genie bottle, or you know what I mean, like some kind of woo-woo stuff, but it was actual like real treasure. And towards the end, after he retrieves the treasure, he kind of comes to realize that the money doesn't really do much for him. And it's really just the memories and experiences that he had while pursuing his personal legend that were the, you know, the real treasure all along. It's one of those endings. But I don't know, I was pleasantly surprised by the book. Yeah, all in all, if you're into like that kind of like mystical, kind of spiritual type of stuff, then you'll probably enjoy it. Personally, it's not my favorite book in the world. I'll put a link to the book in the description if you want to check it out. If you want to start a discussion in the comments below, feel free to do so. Maybe you can give me a perspective I didn't really think about. But with all that being said, I'm on my own self-improvement journey. If you want to follow along with that, feel free to subscribe. I appreciate the time that you took today. But that's all I really got for you. And until next time.